Hello, and thanks for joining me today. We're going to talk about the psychological advantage in understanding the why of the buy. If you're like me, you've probably wondered why a bride does what she does. And let's face it, she's a very different customer type, which, when you understand what's going on in her mind, you can either get her to go further in the buying process, which will equal more sales and weddings for you, or you can shorten the process and stop the discouragement cycle, which will also help add more weddings onto your books at the end of the year. And if you looked at weddings, what is needed for a wedding is two people to show up with a license, somebody to officiate over that license, witnesses, and both to show up and say, I do. Now, the problem occurs is that these are the true needs for the weddings, but she is confused on what is a need and what is a want. While she may not need what you sell, she's not going forward without it in her wedding plans. And if I'm saying that if what I'm saying is true, then she doesn't need all this for a wedding. Then let's talk about the real reasons behind the wants. Now, there's 2 points I want you to focus on and take away from today. Number one, follow the bride's process. When you follow the bride's process, she has a process, and you need to adjust yourself to that process to increase your weddings. Your process in selling and marketing needs to coincide with how she buys. And then I spoke of this. There's real reasons, typically four of them, why she can tend to go overboard on this process. Now, when a bride becomes engaged and she's ready to start spending on her weddings, perhaps she'll go to the internet first, typically, maybe go to a bridal show, pick up a wedding magazine, or talk to a trusted friend or trusted source. This is where we need to be at in the marketing stage, our marketing stage of the process. She's looking for what we do. When we start thinking about our marketing and our strategy and trying to get the word out to our prospective clients, it's crucial that we step aside from our own point of view as owners of the business who are in this all day, every day, and try to get into her head and understand her point of view and primarily her process. Many times in the event industry, we have this assumption that because we're a provider of what she's looking for, that it's an automatic match and we can just simply show up. And by simply showing up, I mean we put a booth in a bridal show, or we put our website up, or we put an ad in a magazine. And the problem with it is that there's other people who are also just showing up. So we need to take it one step further. Think about this for a minute. If you were to go outside of the wedding industry and think about how a relationship is formed, if you were single and looking for a relationship and found somebody that you were interested in and just approached them and said, Hi, I'm single, you're single, let's get married, you might have come off as kind of cheesy or kind of obnoxious, which again, that won't work. So we need to take it a few steps further. Perhaps if we went and started dating first, and then we communicated what our needs, our wants, our aspirations were, and then we adjusted to those, and then we decide if we're going to be in a relationship, might be a better process. So here's the key. You need to take her one step in her process at a time. Let's first start with her process of buying. First off, how many brides are there annually in your area? And then I want you to separate out those brides who are prospective customers of what you sell at the level that you sell it at. Because not every bride, if you've got 3,000 brides in your area, then not every one of them are going to be interested in what you sell. What separates them is their priority. And once we get past this priority, some absolutely love, adore, and want what you need or what you sell, and there's plenty of them out there. So those brides who get past that and who are truly prospective and looking for what you sell, the first stage that they are going to take is they are doing a specific search, and they're specifically searching for those vendors who match what they're looking for. Second, then they're going to contact. After that contact stage, that can be through email or through phone, and then after that they come and they meet face to face with you. Sometimes in that stage they will go ahead and purchase right away, but in the contact stage or the appointment stage. After you get the appointment, then the next stage is you get the gig, you get the contract, and then they become customers for life. Another way of looking at this is they go from being strangers to being interested or intrigued to taking action and engaging with you. Just because they take action and engage with you doesn't mean that they're a client, but the further that you get them in the process, you understand that you are going to be able to close more sales. For example, if you looked at 100 brides who only saw your website, didn't know anything about you, never saw a review, never heard of you, nothing, 100 brides who just went to your website versus 100 brides who came and met with you face to face, you can see where the closing ratio is going to be much higher with the face to face appointment. So you need to get them through the stages, and there's processes and ways to do that that make sense according to her. Like I said, move them one step in her stage at a time and nothing further. You don't have to go 3 or 4 steps. For example, if you have an ad in a magazine that suggests a sale by saying something like 10% off with purchase, that's assuming the sale, and you're taking them to the contract stage. It's going too far. And we need to be gentle in how we do this. We need to hold her by the hand, taking her step by step and telling her what to do. There are real reasons that she is going forward in the process. And I have a question for you first. Are brides a different customer type? No, if you're like most wedding professionals, you're going to say absolutely yes, they are different. And why are they different? Well, first and foremost is there's a ton of emotion in this purchase. In fact, I can't think of a more emotional purchase than getting a wedding. Second to that, I want to ask you this. When does a girl start planning her wedding? They start planning when they are very young, and they start thinking about it. They may not be having the 3-ring binder or going out shopping for vendors, but they start thinking and playing like they're brides when they're very young. So you've got this very emotional purchase that are based on wants, not needs. The real reasons, you've got to consider that they've never bought it before. They typically, 85% of brides are first-time brides, and they are going after this differently than what you do, something that you do all the time. When you're buying something that you buy often or even several times before, you do it differently. They're spending more money on the one day than they've ever spent before, and they're being pulled in 15 directions, whether it's mom wants this or she wants that, or one vendor's telling them one thing, another vendor's telling them another thing, and it's no wonder that she shouldn't have to increase her meds, and this is what you end up with. So, by the way, empathy is one of the quickest ways to get trust with your bride. So if you can be empathetic to that, I'm not trying to dog on brides. I'm telling you that when we can be empathetic, then we can go forward further faster. And also be aware of features versus benefits, because the key to it is that features are the things that we sell, and the benefits are the results of what we sell. And too many times we get caught up in the features. So if we look at the psychology of the bride, she's got 4 of these major buttons that she wants to have pushed, or these 4 real reasons. These are emotional buttons that she has, which when you properly push them through your marketing or your selling, you have a higher chance of getting her to take further steps in the buying process. Even if you are more expensive, even if you are less experienced, or offer something different that you think you cannot overcome that your competition does. These buttons are impress. She wants to impress everybody that shows up. She wants to enjoy, and she wants everybody else to enjoy themselves. She wants to win. You ever have brides who have that competition going on with either their sister, their friend, the neighbor, what society thinks? And then Cinderella. How many of these brides are never going to have another chance in their life to become the star of their own show? This is the one and only day that they get to be the star of the show of their wedding. So You need to push these buttons, but I'm not speaking of some form of manipulation. I'm telling that you need to talk to her about what matters to her, not what matters to you or what you think is important. And when you fully understand what those real reasons are, it becomes easier to get her to trust you. And when she does trust you, you'll find that her making the process much easier and you ending up with more sales on the books. Now, in summary, again, follow her process. Take her gently step by step, but understand the process first so you can know what's next. And then, second, find the real reasons and get really good at those 4 buttons. And when all else fails, I want you to remember the rule of SW4, which is some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. You're never going to bat 1,000 in this. If you get 100 brides in front of you and you're closing 100 brides, you're either too cheap or you're selling things at a loss. You're going to have a higher rate of response when you do these things better. So now, for your next step, if you are serious about taking your business to the next level, I've created a series of products, 21 of them, in fact, mostly audio programs, which are about an hour each, which cover virtually every area of marketing and selling to brides. And frankly, this is the information which you can use for all of your business and clientele, whether it's weddings or outside of weddings. It's good stuff with marketing and great stuff with sales. So click the button below to see a full descriptions. I've made them all digital so you can download them immediately. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, even with maybe even shocked at how low the price is. I want you to try them out and help your business to grow for the coming year. Thanks for joining me today.